special Scrum guest joining us to reflect on covering the former Prime Minister, former CBC Chief Correspondent and Chief Anchor, Peter Mansbridge. Hi, Peter. It's so nice to see you. Thank you for making the time.
Oh, it's good to see you, Vashi.
What was it like covering Brian Mulroney and his government?
Well, you know, there were periods, different periods through that. When he first started, when I first started covering him, he was just seeking to become the opposition leader in the early days of the 1980s, and he was kind of leading the charge to move Joe Clark out of the leadership position. So he was pals with everybody. In fact, too friendly with a lot of reporters. And he learned that can bite back when some of them started reporting everything that he was saying about different things. But when he was in government, he wanted to be loved by everybody. And that carries its dangers too, because clearly you're not going to be liked by everybody. So he got in disputes with reporters. He got in challenging matches with liberals, the Rat Pack of the early 1980s and the mid 1980s in government. So he was challenged. But above and beyond all of that, this was a guy who had big ideas, big thoughts, wanted to make big changes. Some of them worked, some of them didn't work. But he followed through on those desires to have an impact on the direction of the country.
What do you think informed that prospect, like that idea of wanting to do big things versus other leaders that we've had who look at things in a more incremental way?
I think he grew to quickly understand that being in government gives you an opportunity to do things you really want to do, and not the little things, and not to get caught up in the little arguments that often take place in Parliament, and we see some of that, in the past few years. But here today, in those days for him, it was very much an opportunity to make significant change in the country, in terms of the way the country operated, and especially in terms of the country's economy.
He had a long life as well after politics, and I think what has been really fascinating to see since his passing has been the scope and the breadth of the reaction to it, particularly among political circles. Like, there is nobody from any party that hasn't had some personal story that they can share or reflection on his passing. What does that say to you?
Well, it says this guy knew how to make friends and knew to have lasting friendships, and that he could draw upon a certain degree of loyalty. I mean, you just talked to Joe Clark. Look at what happened there. Brian Mulroney led the charge to dump Joe Clark. I don't think he ever openly admitted that, but there's no doubt that's what was happening. But yet within hours of them achieving government in 1984, Clark and Mulroney together became this powerful force, especially on the international stage, that accomplished real things together. And there was a friendship there. He was always there to be able to talk to people, some of whom he'd had very difficult relationships with, including members of the media, including me. I didn't get along with him particularly well when he was Prime Minister. We had a lot of arguments about different things. But afterwards, we actually became friends, and we're able to talk to each other on that basis about real issues many times.
Peter, I'm going to leave it on that note. Thank you so much for sharing some of your time and perspective with us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Vashi. It's great to talk to you.